Knowing when to change course. When we're doing momentum, yes, in the beginning, when we strategize and come up with what direction we're going to go in, that's a fantastic thing. The thing with momentum, though, and any type of progress is that sometimes we realize we're not going in the direction we're supposed to be going. One thing that needs to happen regularly is some type of check in. Does this feel right? And there's kind of two ways to look at it, two things that can change in my experiences. The first thing is that your intention actually changes. Your heart changes. Carlos had had chimed in a little bit earlier in the episode and talked about passion, and I leveled up and said, well, from my friend James Alvin Jr. over at Kabila and over at Parentpreneur Foundation, he just had a video just recently. You can look him up online, where he was talking about actually it going closer to obsession, not obsession where you don't sleep at all and all those things. You might need some medical help if that happens, but obsession, as in, this is what you're driven to do. That's what we mean by obsession. Things change. I started my journalism career when I was just a little bit older than my eldest son. He's 11. I started my journalism career probably 2 years, 3 years, probably I was 14. Shout out to all my beautiful, awesome mentors back in high school. Whenever I started high school, that was around the time I started my career. It's been a long time since then, very long time. Those passions change. They evolve, they turn into something else. So sometimes when we have challenges with our momentum, there's actually nothing wrong. It's just we've evolved in a certain way. Or number two, it's not that we've evolved in a certain way, but that the people that we serve or what we're trying to do evolves in a certain way. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that's just a challenging thing. It's time to move on. There's plenty of ideas, plenty of ways that I've tried to serve people. If you've coached with me, I know some of the stuff that y'all have been through. So there's certain businesses, ideas that we have, and maybe the audience doesn't want it. You got all this momentum, but you know, as of the wonderful song "Express Yourself" says, everything don't mean a thing if it ain't what you want. Express yourself, right? Shout out to Charles Wright. You know, so it doesn't really matter if you're not serving in that way. That's really in your heart, because if your purpose is to serve and the person or a group of people that you're trying to serve don't want it, it doesn't really matter. The other side of that is when you actually do a mission accomplished. When we had founded Cuddler back in 2014, it was an app similar to Tinder or Grinder, which were way more popular, a decade plus ago, where there apps where you connect with other people to hook up or for dating and stuff like that. This was to hook up with people for hugs. Cuddler, cuddle with other people. I'm really into intimacy and technology and how it connects people. So are my co-founders. So it was interesting to kind of go on that journey with them, and had a 250,000 users within the first few months. Got on the cover of the Wall Street Journal, and then our business got acquired within a year. I talk about that, of course, in the Bring Worth collection, as well as quite a few times on the channel if you want to learn more about that history. One of the reasons why we sold the business is I remember distinctively, I remember the morning, it was around Valentine's Day. So it was in February of that year, 2015. We were about 6 to 9 months in. And I remember having a Zoom call or Skype, might have been Skype, one of the virtual things. This was before the pandemic, so it was a little bit more limited as far as how you connect with people. I think FaceTime was just invented. But I think we're on Skype and we're connecting in our normal morning meeting. It was early in the morning for me, and he was overseas over in the UK, so it was lunchtime for him. And I remember us distinctively to this day. Was it 10 years ago? Looking at him and him looking at me, and both of us being like, "Yeah, I think we're done." And there's ups and downs with co-founding and all that stuff, and usual drama and stuff like that. But that wasn't why per se. It was why. It was why. The reason was definitely need more coffee. The reason was is that on my end, excuse me, as a co-founder, my whole thing was I wanted to move the cultural needle to show that technology could actually facilitate intimacy. It wasn't going to be a Facebook thing, and they were just Facebook, not Meta at the time. It was going to be a Facebook thing where you stay connected um, to people that you would see normally at your high school reunion and have a superficial connection to them. And it wasn't going to be the strictly physical hookup culture that was facilitated by Tinder and Grindr. No offense to either one of those companies, but it was going to be something where you could actually have platonic human intimacy, and it could actually connect people who were lonely or needed to physically connect with other people without expectations of sex, to be blunt about it. We're on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. We, among a couple other people, were told that we were creating what was called the cuddle economy. And I'll throw a link in the replay of this if you want to read the article in the Wall Street Journal. It was late December of 2014. No, I'm sorry, very early January 2015. That's it. I was like, okay, culture changed. That was my main intention. My co-founder, particularly my most active, we had another co-founder, but my most active co-founder, he had particular intentions and they were met. So it's like, okay, momentum is done now. We could have kept going, but why? When is it time to let something go? Sometimes it's time to let it go because your heart's in a different place and you've evolved. It's bittersweet, but it happens. I don't do as much journalism as I used to. And I got 2 degrees in journalism, heavily invested in journalism. I don't do it as much as I used to. You'll catch me here and there. I have my little chops. I'll speak here and there. I have my columns here and there, but that's not my main bread and butter at all. That's a change of heart. That's one. It could be that the audience that you're trying to serve doesn't want it. Been there before. I'm guessing if you're watching this program, you have too. So that's the second reason to change course while the momentum's not working. And the third one, which is probably the happiest one, also bittersweet, is that you actually did what you're supposed to do. From my end with Cutler, as co-founder of Cutler, my intention, again, I can't speak for my co-founder, but my intention was to change the cultural needle, to move it, to say technology can facilitate real intimacy that has absolutely nothing to do with sex. We did that. Cover the Wall Street Journal. We're on the late night talk shows. We're getting ribbed on the morning shows. Again, you do a Google of Cutler, Cuddlr. The internet does not forget, so you can see how much attention we got. But we changed the culture, and we got some money from it because we ended up building this company that was built to last. Great. We don't need any more momentum for it. Sometimes we end up pushing forward and doing things, even though our heart isn't in it, even though the people that we're trying to serve don't want it, or even when we've finished the mission and we're trying to pull defeat from the jaws of success. I think that was what's his name, my guy, Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power. One of those laws is you have to know when to stop. One of my favorite little ditties. It is a short, but it's full size. If you're into YouTube, you know what I'm saying. It's On the Dip and We Should Quit by my guy, Seth Godin. Hope you're doing fantastic. I was lucky enough to work under him in some of his seminars as well as to connect with him actually through James Oliver Jr. and Parapreneur Foundation and actually talk with him briefly. So from afar and close up, he's a fantastic mentor. I love you, Seth. Very short episode. I think it's a minute and a half long, 2 minutes long about the dip and when you should quit. He has a fantastic book called The Dip about quitting. Definitely check it out. But then, if you got 2 minutes to spare, definitely check out my conversation about when to quit. If you want consistency, do this and watch this now. The episode that ran, I want to say last summer, again, episode 380. So, yeah, we did a handful of lives. So, probably ran last fall. Be sure and check it out. It's another deep dive into consistency. I consider momentum separate than consistency. We get into, again, 2 degrees in journalism. I love the word, so forgive my semantics on it, but I think there is a difference. When it comes to consistency, That's showing up every day. Momentum is figuring out how you want to show up, and then it naturally creates that consistency. So there's a deeper dive we can get into consistency. If you're worried about showing up every day, definitely check out this episode. Excuse me. And then Dr. Natalie Nixon, The Creativity Leap, a fantastic book. I talked about it quite a bit. It's one of my favorite books. She talks about two different ways. It's a very small book too. You can read it in the afternoon. It's such a good read. Hope you're doing wonderful, Dr. Nixon. She talks about two different things. Excuse me, wonder and oh my gosh, what's the other one? Wonder and oh my gosh, rigor. Man, this Wednesday feels like Friday. Wonder and rigor. Wonder is, hey, I wonder if I can make a flying car. Flying cars would be fantastic. Rigor is saying, all right, but what's the fuel going to be on? Most importantly, does anyone want a freaking flying car? Do we really want to be living in the Jetsons right now? Or do we have other things to focus on? That's wonder. I wonder if I'm curious about this, I'm passionate about, etc. And rigor, basically saying, let me put critical thinking into this. Does that even make any sense? We tend to get out of balance and lose our momentum, tying it back to today, when we're focused on either the wonder where we're all over the place. Again, I got two little kids. So they're always coming up to me where they're like, Dad, why don't we do this? And it's some big idea, has no practical application, but sounds fantastic. And of course, I love them to death. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Why don't you go draw that? Why don't you go type that up? That's fantastic. That wonder is beautiful. We want to protect that. I used to be a teacher, as you can probably tell, but we want to protect that. That's beautiful. But then you got to get to the rigor part. And the rigor part says, it's almost like the editor. It's like, I'm going to do it this way. Well, why? Is there any practical application for that? What you're trying to do is not financially feasible. It doesn't make any sense. And sometimes we get caught up in the rigor side and we don't do anything. So either we have momentum all over the place or we don't move at all. We have no momentum. This is a beautiful discussion about how to balance those two sides. We all have them. We're all creative in our own form. I know accountants and CPAs and all that, lawyers, a lot of my friends are lawyers, and y'all are creative as hell. It just comes out in different ways than, I have traditional artists in my family. I have photographers and other folks. They're like, oh yeah, that's creative. I have poets and stuff, and I've dabbled in quite a few of those things. Like, that's creative. No, no, no. We all have levels of creativity. Hopefully not creative accounting, but we're creative in other ways. It's a fantastic book to go deeper into that. But if I were to recommend any episode, and I'll go ahead and link that as soon as the episode is done, I would highly recommend after this checking out. If you want consistency, watch this now. It's another live show, again from last fall, that I think will help you get to the next level. Are you currently trying to change course? And or if you've lost momentum recently, could it be because you've had to change your heart, the people or the ways you're trying to serve, that they don't want it? Or did you actually finish your mission and you need to come up with another strategy? It's usually one of the three I found. Let me know in the comments where you might be. And that might be the challenging part with the current momentum that you have. I'm entrepreneur coach Damon Brown, here to help you as a side hustler, solopreneur, otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. You're watching Bring Your Worst Show live on Wednesdays at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You subscribe for free and you get the complete Bring Your Worth collection available in all fine bookstores, including at damebrown.net if you want a signed copy. You can also listen to the audiobook right now at the link below. And again, yeah, after you watch this, definitely go ahead and watch the one on consistency. I'll go ahead and put a link right after this. It'll pop up on the screen as well. Yeah, let's keep the momentum. And based on that promise, I will see you guys live next Wednesday at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. Until next time, remember you can always bring your worth. You can always build from now. Take care of yourselves and others.